Next reason, and I think Palantir's all of a sudden started moving up here recently, is it seems like day after day, all of a sudden, you're starting to see on this more software related side, service after service all of a sudden offering AI related products, right? This was yesterday. I got this message. Loom AI is officially out for beta. Try it free for the next few videos, then add it to your plan for $4 a month, right? So we're at the infant stage of companies starting to monetize kind of on the software side with these beta programs and whatnot, right? Duet AI for Google Workspace is $30 per month per user for the enterprise, right? This just came out a couple days ago. OpenAI launches ChatGPT Enterprise, the company's biggest announcement since ChatGPT's debut. Okay, it's available starting today, and this was as of a few days ago, right? The tool has been in development for less than a year, and it's had the help of more than 20 companies of varying sizes and industries. OpenAI COO said to CNBC. Some of the companies included Block, Canva, Estee Lauder. So this is something that's going on out there, right? More and more you're hearing, okay, companies are starting to actually get this stuff out there. They'll start generating some sorts of revenues this year, but the big dog revenue is really coming next year and then obviously in future years past that, right? Because you think about this, right? Like something like the Loom AI, right? And by the way, Loom AI is one of the sickest AIs I've actually seen. It's incredible. So let's say, you sign up for Loom AI. Do you think it's going to be $4 a month forever? No, of course not. Eventually, it's going to be $6 a month, then it's going to be $8 a month, then it's going to be $10 a month, and $12 a month, and $14 a month. And if you obviously love that product, you're going to continue to use it. So that's what's coming there, okay? Now, next up here is specific in regards to Palantir, right? Because people looked at the Palantir numbers, and they weren't that great, right? In terms of it wasn't like they were bad numbers. It's just like they met expectations, and everybody was so excited about the whole AI thing. They're expecting AI numbers to start hitting now. And what we're finding out is AI is going to hit. It's going to hit 2024 and beyond, right? And so when that quarter was announced, a lot of people just there was a letdown of oh man, they only come in and met expectations. And then they did raise their full year forecast. But the problem was they raised their full year forecast, and it was a relatively smaller amount, let's just call it that, for what some folks were anticipating and expecting out of Palantir. There, a lot of folks had kind of run to the assumption that Palantir is going to come through with that NVIDIA quarter. That's going to knock everybody's socks off, and no one saw it coming, and it's just going to shock people. They might still come in with that quarter eventually. It just doesn't look like it's right now, because none of these companies on the software side are really getting that money in right now. They're in talks with companies setting things up really for the end of this year and obviously into 2024, but that's kind of what's going on there, right? Now, you hear a lot of excitement, obviously, in the AI space, and you hear about the revenues coming in, right? That will be coming in 24 and beyond. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are kind of looking at Palantir numbers and saying, for the next many quarters, right? And we could say this upcoming quarter, maybe there's no significant AI revenue still, right? Because like everybody's talking about, it's really a 2024 and beyond story. So, but then you kind of get into fiscal Q4. I would imagine Palantir will start at least generating a decent amount of AI-related revenue of some kind, maybe not crazy, but something there, right? And then in 2024, so analysts don't have them growing 20% any quarter next year, right? Any quarter. And so I think there's maybe a little bit of a thought process starting to brew about is that even realistic, right? Because with the sort of a demand from folks kind of, and the expectations, is it really realistic that Palantir is going to grow less than 20% every quarter next year? Or are they going to maybe post a few quarters in there that are well above 20%, right? And so I think that's just a thought process that people are running through. You got to always run through the risk-reward scenarios. And there's certainly a potential scenario that it could be a lot better than kind of what we're seeing there, right? Now, in terms of Palantir stock, there is an issue. And that issue is we're going to be in no man's land here for a little bit, right? This is... Unless we get any big announcements out of the company, earnings are still a little over 2 months away, right? So we have earnings a little over 2 months away. If we don't get any major announcements, then, this is one of those situations where the stock will build, it will fall back down, it will build, it will fall back down, and it will kind of, let's just call it be in a range of, let's call it maybe $15 to $19, something like that, right? But if the other situation is something that Palantir all of a sudden comes out with some big announcements over the next couple months in between now and earnings that maybe get people excited, which is always a possibility. You've certainly heard on the hardware side, companies making a lot of announcements. Do we hear anything from Palantir kind of on the software side with some big announcements with some big name companies? You hear something like that, then you can kind of take the next leg higher and excitement starts to build if it's some sort of big announcement. But other than that, we're kind of in no man's land in the short term with Palantir here. So 7 stocks I'm buying now, September 2023 edition. Welcome in, folks, to my favorite video I do on this channel each and every month. We're about to get into 6 stocks that I'm planning on buying in the upcoming month, and then 1 stock that I'm planning on buying put options on as a hedge for my portfolio overall. I'm going to take you through my whole thought process in regards to these in today's video. So I appreciate every single person for taking the time to enjoy this video here with me today. I'm looking very forward to record this one. Always the most, fun video for me to record each and every month, where I go through a bunch of different companies and why I'm excited to buy these companies. So I appreciate y'all taking the time to enjoy this. If you enjoy me putting out these videos, you enjoy my content in general, then consider supporting my content on Patreon. That's going to be pinned comment down there. You also get access to see the stocks I'm buying and selling every week through my Fidelity account that's in the Patreon portfolio. Plus you get access to a Discord chat as well. And I even have a tier that has a course attached to it. So I appreciate everybody watching this one here today. And let's go ahead and get straight into this, folks. Winning Resorts is the first of these 7 stocks. Now, Wynn Resorts, I always have called it Winning Resorts over the years, but to be quite frank, over the last many years, it's been losing resorts. And the reason being is obviously the government shut down let's just call it their locations, right? The Las Vegas properties were closed for a while, then those opened back up, but then the Macau location, Macau in general, which is a huge region for Wynn Resorts, they kind of opened it as far as the Chinese government, then they shut it down, then they limited it. It was a mess for 3 years. Basically, from the start of 2020 all the way through the beginning of 2023, it was a mess. Things have opened back up there. It's about to be winning resorts once again, okay? From losing resorts to winning resorts again. Now, if you don't know Wynn and Encore, they operate the premium properties on the Las Vegas Strip. They operate Wynn and Encore. These are the highest end properties out there, the most well-run properties on the Strip by far and away. And these are sorts of properties that really attract the VIPs, big money, the higher end of the mass, and the type of people that go to Wynn and Encore. They spend a lot on the gaming floor, and these folks also spend a lot on the restaurants, the retail. You're going to see stores in there like Louis Vuitton, Rolex, all the highest end brands in the world. They all want to be associated with Wynn and Encore because that's it's the creme de la creme customer base out there. They also operate a property, Encore Boston Harbor, right outside Boston. And this is an interesting property because they basically sold the building and the land to basically like a real estate investment trust, and so they kind of have a sale leaseback situation going on. But Wynn actually operates the property inside, obviously the hotel, obviously the gaming floor and the restaurants and all those sorts of things. So that's an interesting kind of arrangement there. They could do something like that with Las Vegas if they want to long term. We'll see. They also operate these 2 properties on the old part of the Macau area, Wynn and Encore. These were their 2 first properties in the Macau region. They've historically been extremely profitable properties for them, except for the last 3 years when Macau was shut down. And then they also operate the big dog, Wynn Palace, which is, the last super massive project under the Steve Wynn kind of era that he opened up. And, unfortunately, this property was just starting to ramp in a major way, and then the shutdowns came, obviously, in 2020. So, we still haven't even really got to see yet how successful Wynn Palace can really be over the coming years. Now, on top of that, they also own one of the rare undeveloped pieces of land on the Las Vegas Strip. This piece of land is directly across from the Wynn in the Encore. It's one of the very few undeveloped pieces of land on the Strip that's on a great piece of strip. I mean, you got Treasure Island right over here. You got Palazzo and Venetian right here. You got this is over here is the mall, which is the best mall, fashion show mall in Las Vegas. So I mean, this property is the creme de la creme. So I don't know if Wynn's just going to sit on the land and sell it to somebody, or if they're going to eventually develop something on it. But that's a pretty interesting piece of real estate they own. And then on top of that, they're building a property right now in the Middle East, which is a very extraordinary opportunity. That's, can't get excited about that anytime soon. And they're partnering with some folks in regards to that deal. That's going to be more of a 2026, 2027 and beyond story in terms of that Middle East property. Now, in terms of Wynn Resorts, This is a company that was losing resorts for a while there, right? While you had the Macau shutdowns and everything going on, and they kept missing earnings. Wynn historically was a company that usually was known for hitting earnings, beating earnings, right? Well, very recently, they're starting, now that Macau's starting to open back up again, they're starting to beat their earnings again. They beat it, 2 quarters ago, they beat it this past quarter as well. And if you look at analyst estimates for this company, they have them doing about 324 current year for the company. 2024, they have them doing 471. That puts it at about a 30 forward P for this year's numbers in 21. But keep in mind, I have a pretty high confidence level that they're going to crush those numbers. We've got Vegas F1 race coming in November. That's the biggest thing pretty much to happen in Vegas ever. I mean, the amount of money that's going to be attracted F1 weekend is ridiculous. I can't even explain that. Then you have the Super Bowl coming to Vegas 2 months later. Like, it doesn't get better for Vegas and for the Vegas properties. Macau's getting back to big numbers that we're going to go through in just a moment. So I'm pretty confident that Wynn's going to come in and crush, absolutely obliterate some numbers. Now, in terms of Macau GGR, gross gaming revenue, up 3% on July, new high since the Rona era, right? Macau's August casino gross gaming revenue rose 3.3% month over month to, let's call it $2.13 billion. Now, this is extraordinary for Wynn and extraordinary, obviously, for all the operators in Macau, because all these folks have been losing a fortune in Macau for basically the past 3 years, and now these guys are finally getting back to profitability in Macau again, and it's going to boost their businesses in an epic way. In the August tally was up 686% from August 2022, which goes to show you the sort of growth that's going on in Macau right now with it finally being opened back up. Now, keep in mind, the growth is kind of accelerating here, because if you look at this, the latest data took Macau's gross gaming revenue 8 months to August 31st, and that was up about almost 300%. But the recent numbers are up almost 700%, right, on a year-over-year basis, which kind of goes to show you that in terms of Macau, it's really accelerating. It's accelerating rapidly. And what that's going to end up producing for Wynn for profitability is going to be enormous for this company for obviously many years to go in the future, but certainly right now. Now, in terms of the dividend for the stock, it's only a 1% yield, but keep in mind, now that Macau is going to likely get back to huge profitability again, don't be surprised if that dividend gets upped quite substantially over the next several years and Wynn starts to become a major dividend stock once again. So, in regards to Wynn Resorts, absolutely love this one, and it's one of those stocks I can feel comfortable. All the stocks I'm listing off here today in this video, all these stocks are stocks that I feel comfortable investing in during a recession, during a good economy, and a so-so economy. That's all these companies we're about to go through here today. Wynn Resorts is one of those companies. It doesn't matter. A recession, a great economy, an okay economy, regardless of what's going on out there, I feel comfortable investing in a company like Wynn Resorts. They cater to the highest end of folks that like to travel around the world. And that's just a very attractive market. And just keep in mind, rich people are always rich, okay?